Coming up on Mountain News this morning, there's new information highlighting what went on moments before the attempted assassination of former President Trump.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6 a.m. on Tuesday, July 16th. Now let's go ahead and send it over to meteorologist Mace Michaels for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Olivia. Some high clouds moving into the area now. Nice beginning to the day. If you like warmth, if you like humidity, we have it once again. Temperatures in the mid-70s for those of you waking up around Whitesburg. Here in Hazard, you notice some high clouds drifting into the area. That'll at least help. If you're standing out in the sunshine, the clouds will shroud it back a little bit, but it won't help on the thermometer. It'll still be well up into the 90s today, and the muggy weather will be with us as well. Hazard, you're waking up to 72, and 72 also in Irvine, as warm as 78 at this hour in Monticello. Beginning the day that warm. Notice up to the northwest, Louisville starting the day at 80 degrees. We have some upper 60s, Jonesville, Wise, Clintwood, and Grundy with a few mid-60s there. Here's the clouds that have begun to move into the area over the last few hours. And as you look to the northwest, several showers and thunderstorms. This is a cold front that will bring some relief from the heat and the humidity. Finally, that will come tomorrow a little bit and especially midweek. But hot again today, Olivia. Our high temperatures up into the 90s and a chance of late afternoon and evening showers and storms.
All right, Mace, thank you. And now to the latest in the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. CBS News learning more about what people in the crowd saw in the lead up to the shooting and when law enforcement knew something wasn't right. CBS's Jared Hill is in New York with the latest.
This morning, new details on the attempt on former President Trump's life.
I seen him physically look at us, and he was like looking at us and crawling. And then next thing you know,
Michael DeFriscia captured the moment 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks opened fire, killing one person, sending two others to the hospital.
There he is.
CBS News has learned Secret Service did not sweep the building Crooks shot from, despite it having a direct line of sight to the stage since it was outside of the security perimeter. The Butler County Sheriff says his department wasn't responsible for clearing the roof either.
I don't know whose responsibility that would have been.
But a source with direct knowledge says 3 snipers from local law enforcement were staged inside and radioed after seeing the gunman acting suspiciously before the shooting. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas called Saturday's shooting a security failure.
And I do intend to speak with members of the Hill with respect to the resources that we need.
The Biden campaign resuming ads after a weekend pause says it wants to lower the temperature. In an interview with NBC News, President Biden on his own speech.
How do you talk about the threat to democracy, which is real, when a president says things like he says? Do you just not say anything because it may incite somebody?
An independent investigation into any security failings will start within days. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Leaders throughout Kentucky are continuing to voice their concern following the assassination attempt. Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg spoke at the Muhammad Ali Airport. He was there with White House officials to speak on upgrades to the airport's infrastructure thanks to federal government funding.
I think it was a sad day for America. And again, I'm hopeful that maybe finally, this might be the wake-up call that our entire country needs to lower the temperature, to listen and learn from one another, to start engaging and have real dialogue about the issues, even when we may vehemently disagree. Because I truly believe that deep down, we all do want the same goal.
Others at a national level are also commenting on how political rhetoric needs to be toned down. U.S. Representative Hal Rogers says it comes as the result of a very divided country. Senator Rand Paul spoke to the Somerset-Pulaski County Chamber of Commerce and said President Biden needs to stop calling Trump a threat to democracy.
And the rhetoric has become so hot that I'm afraid that maybe some of what I'll call weak-minded people might take the rhetoric literally and cause violence.
Comparing Trump to Soviet Union and to Hitler isn't helpful, and it's instigating people to think that, oh my goodness, if President Trump wins, democracy will end.
Both Rogers and Paul also say a thorough investigation into the actions of the Secret Service and how locations are screened and vetted needs to be examined. Independent presidential hopeful Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will now receive Secret Service protection. President Biden directed the move in the wake of the assassination attempt on former President Trump over the weekend. Kennedy's uncle, President John F. Kennedy, and his father, Robert F. Kennedy, were both assassinated. On social media, RFK Jr. thanked President Biden for the extra layer of Secret Service protection. Yesterday, former President Donald Trump officially received the Republican nomination for president for the third election in a row at the party's national convention. It was an emotional scene later in the night as Trump made a surprise appearance at the conference just 48 hours after a gunman opened fire at one of his rallies in an assassination attempt. Monday, Trump finally revealed his 2024 VP pick, Ohio Senator JD Vance. CBS News' Sabrina Franza has more from the convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Former President Donald Trump arrived to cheers on night one of the Republican National Convention. Trump's ear was covered by a bandage in his first public appearance since surviving Saturday's assassination attempt. The former president stood next to his running mate, 39-year-old Ohio Senator JD Vance, who Trump announced earlier in the day on social media.
I think he's an excellent choice.
Vance, an Iraq War veteran and Yale Law School graduate, first rose to public prominence due to his best-selling memoir turned Hollywood film, Hillbilly Elegy. He once described himself as a, quote, never Trump guy, but says Trump's presidency changed his mind. President Joe Biden also reacted to the VP pick yesterday.
He's a clone of Trump on the issues. I don't see any difference.
Vance is set to formally accept the Republican vice presidential nomination in a speech here Wednesday night.
We hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump.
Yesterday, the party officially nominated Trump for president in a roll call of state delegates. The theme focused on the economy, with speeches from governors, members of Congress, and the head of the Teamsters Union.
We will create an agenda and work with a bipartisan coalition ready to accomplish something real for the American worker.
Today's theme is Make America Safe Again. Trump's former 2024 primary rival, Nikki Haley, is scheduled to speak. Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Former President Trump will formally accept the nomination on Thursday in Milwaukee. Meanwhile, his Democratic opponent, President Joe Biden, is also on the campaign trail this week. He'll address the NAACP convention in Las Vegas later today. Congressman Hal Rogers voiced his support for Trump's VP pick, saying in part, quote, the Trump-Vance ticket is the unequivocal America First choice to lead this great nation to victory. Senator Vance's experience as a U.S. Marine with Appalachian roots is a winning combination to represent every corner of America, including our rural region and our beloved veterans.
Quieter day today with some high clouds gradually moving into the area. We're starting to see those now as you look here over towards Moorhead. Some of those clouds will help to at least take the edge off the intense heat. 77 though, it is warm already in Moorhead, and 72 for a warm beginning of the day here in Hazard. We'll call the sky partly sunny. It's kind of the way it will stay throughout the day. A mixture of sunshine and clouds. Welcoming the clouds, at least, if you're going to be outside for a long length of time, to take the edge, as I mentioned, off of the strong sunshine. Temps well into the 70s this morning, if not in the upper 60s, Middlesboro to Jonesboro and up to around Grundy, but as warm as 78 in Monticello, as I mentioned. Here's the high clouds that are streaming into the area now. That'll help again on the hot side, but it'll still be into the mid-90s today. We'll still see some storms as well, but this front to the north, once it drives in tomorrow, our temperatures will begin to fall back and we'll see some relief from all of these hot and humid conditions. Today, though, we are still up into the 90s, hot and muggy. I'll time out when the storms move through here in just a little bit, and we'll look at those cooler temps for the week ahead as well.
Thank you, Mace, and thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. When we return, Bounce the Stigma continued its annual basketball camp that aims to motivate children with special needs.